Take a moment and think about the following. How many community organisations do you have in the catchment area of your church? Now, most churches have within their own catchment area one particular organisation that almost every member of your community may have had a link with, and that is your local primary school. And these schools, in their own right, form their own communities specifically to help boys and girls learn the skills that they need to grow in life. Now, it's amazing to think that if you have children in the educational system, how much that system influences your life. It dictates when your children go to school, what they're doing for part of the day, what they should wear, when you even take holidays. Now, if you're an active presence in that school community, then you too are able to be a significant influence on the lives that participate within that community. Within the next short presentation, I plan to give you some pointers on how you might want to build a strong community link with your local primary school. Building such links can be a valuable contribution to church life and provide a positive Christian example to the life of that school. Did you know that currently the British educational system encourages schools to create links with other community organisations? Schools are required to provide open acts of worship for all of their pupils to engage with. And religious education is taught as part of the national curriculum, and modules include looking specifically at Christianity. Now, we don't know how much longer this might be, but it is exciting that spirituality is currently being encouraged within the educational system. And believe it or not, this provides us with massive openings for the church to get involved with. The local church is a community organisation. They are in the business of regularly providing acts of worship, and they are a leading authority on Christianity. Amazingly, we already tick a large number of boxes that local school requires to fulfil their educational curriculum. But this does not give us open access to any school that we desire to go in. It requires us to build a good, positive and strong friendship with the school. Remember, it's still that head teacher's discretion exactly who they choose to let in the school community. So if we have a particularly bad reputation within our local community, the school would be well within their rights not to allow us access. So what can we do to create good, healthy and sustainable friendships with the school?
I think it's really important that members of the local church come into school and support the school in all sorts of different ways. So it might be through supporting school events, it might be through just being visible and hearing children read and coming in and helping with arts and crafts activities and maybe visits that we do.
The church can support us in many different ways with the RE work that we do in school. We do use the church building itself for a lot of our RE work. We go down and visit the church, and it's nice to have input as well from members of the church. The vicar supports us in that. So.
You know, I think the important thing is that the church and the school should have discussions, ongoing discussions, and look for different ways, and those really will be pertinent to individual schools, I think.
You may now want to take an audit of the gifts and skills that you have within your own church. You may be surprised at what this may identify or uncover. You may also be surprised at how these gifts and skills can be offered to your local school. Schools are always on the lookout for people to volunteer and help in various ways. I'm aware of 2 projects which encourage church folk to become part of a school community. Firstly, the Right to Read programme encourages people from the community to go and hear children read. Teachers often struggle to find time to hear each and every child read out loud. Being willing to go into your local school and hear children read is a positive way of building good relationships with both staff and children. This may open further links in participating in classroom activities, and you may be able to take the opportunity to read to the class as a whole from a book of your choice. This could be a wonderful opportunity to read some of the fabulous stories found in a children's Bible. Secondly, another school undertook the responsibility of a small allotment. This has turned out to be a wonderful opportunity for members of the church congregation to volunteer their gardening skills, specifically in helping the school maintain and look after this vegetable plot. Think of the wonderful opportunities that you may have to talk about the wonders of God's creation. Now, these are only two examples of ways in which you might be able to use a gift or skill in your local school. But the possibilities are endless, and don't be shy in contacting your local school and ask how you might be able to volunteer. When choosing to work in your local school, it's important to remember that you are a guest. And as you would in any situation where you are a guest, you need to act appropriately within that situation. This may be a common sense value, but remember that you are working in an environment which takes the care of children seriously. And any indication that you may have a negative influence on the lives of these children could result in you being asked not to return and give Christians a bad press. So what can we do to make sure that we convey the best possible relationship? Firstly, think about the language that you use. Many of us knowingly or unknowingly use a variety of different expressions when communicating with friends and peers. Be mindful that some of these expressions may not be appropriate in a classroom context. Secondly, when referring to Christianity, you have to remember that within the school context, this is not an absolute. So it's important that you make it clear that everything to do with your own faith is your own opinion. I often use the phrase, "As a Christian, I believe," and this is specifically relevant and helpful if you've been invited to participate in a lesson or an open act of worship. Thirdly, remember that children will look up to you as a role model. Think about the way that you may choose to present yourself within a school. For example, the clothes that you wear, your mannerisms or habits that you may have, or quite simply the way that you interact with other members of the school. Finally, it's important that you willingly participate in any volunteer screening process. If the school doesn't ask you for such screening, it may be prudent to check with them before you start interacting within the school community. Remember, when building positive relationships with your local school, it is important to be a positive Christian role model.
So we've had work parties coming in on working with the children as well, actually at weekends. So there've been a lot of dads, and I mean we had about over 20, I think it's about 25 people a couple of Saturdays ago who were doing lots of work around the school grounds.
It's really super if we can support the church also by with our children being able to go and help with services like, say, Mothering Sunday. Some of our children could read things, could take along poems they'd written to enhance the church's services, and that offers another opportunity for our children to actually be within a church service and to experience that outside the school day. Things like supporting us with a prayer group, praying for the school and encouraging other members of the school community to be part of that prayer group, coming in and supporting different aspects of the curriculum, like talking about maybe about the purpose of the communion within the Christian faith, things like that. It's always wonderful to have somebody from the church to come in and talk about those sorts of things. It adds much more of a dimension than it being just the class teacher delivering the curriculum. It brings it to life, it makes it more meaningful for the children.
We come to you for things, traditional things like Harvest Festival. This year we're doing an Easter service down in the church. We have a traditional carol service. And I think those are important because we notice that we bring different members of the community, grandparents, people who wouldn't normally come to school things. They come to the Christmas carol service, they come to the Harvest Festival, the more traditional things.
We also, of course, we go down to our local church at least once a week for a whole school act of worship, and often Minister supports us with that as well, comes down and joins us in that. We also have the church offers a Sunday school, which obviously is good again for the children. A lot of the local children go to that Sunday school, and it's nice for us as well to join in with. We enjoy joining in with the church celebrations as well. Children often go down and sing songs and do readings and take part in that, an active part, which is nice and very good for the children to do.
Remember, we're still in a privileged situation that local community members are actively encouraged to participate in the life of the local school. However you may choose to contribute to your local school, remember you're helping to shape a positive relationship with the Christian faith and ultimately have a positive effect on the lives that you interact with within that school.